I was looking at shoulder stand and I attempted to describe what the placement of the hands in your back should do. And I was talking of the skin moving up or down. That language can be confusing. What you want to do is think of Jalandhara Bandha. This is why we were doing shoulder stand, to understand Jalandhara Bandha in Pranayama. When you drop the chin like that, if your skin at the back is pulled down towards the pelvis, towards the buttocks, then this skin will have difficulty relaxing. To allow the skin at the back of the neck to relax, so the Jalandhara Bandha doesn't pull the cervical spine in the wrong direction. It is released forward, not pulled forward. Something that you also want to remember in doing a forward bend. If the forward bend is such, because the hamstrings are tight or whatever other reason, that you're pulling your skin towards the head, the back skin, trapezius skin towards the head, you're likely to round your lumbar. That can be a very dangerous thing. You want to soften that skin. So in a forward bend, the front of the body moves forward, but in the back, you should have a sense as though the skin is dropping from the occipital area towards the pelvis. So same applies in shoulder stand. Automatic tendency of most people is when they put the hand in the back and they try to lift the trunk up, they're pulling the skin away from the floor. You don't want to do that. The kind of contact is considered a bone-to-bone contact. The bone of my hand has to support the bone of my back, which is the rib cage. Don't make it a bone-to-skin contact. And inadvertently, it also becomes a skin contact. Don't use that contact to take the skin away from the floor. Bring that skin as far down as you can, even as you support the rib cage up, so that in Jalandhara Bandha, the skin at the back of your neck has a chance of relaxing. So you want to create a sense that having adjusted the back, still trying to retain the height of the body, support to the rib cage, can you pull the skin down or at least not pull it up? Yeah. This requires refined touch. Won't happen very quickly, but at least begin the process. The skin does not move up. And over a period, you will learn to separate the sense of skin, the muscle or the flesh, and the rib cage. Those are three different things. So even when I learn initially to pull the skin down, I'm still pushing the flesh up to support my rib cage. Okay? Over a period, you learn what is a bone-to-bone contact, where there is only a support to the rib cage from the bone of my hand to the bone of the rib cage. As I refine my practice and I'm able to do that, I'm able to create that separation, then I let go of the support on the back completely. I put my hands on the floor behind me, where the sense remains that from the heaviness of the head of the humerus, I'm lifting the trunk up, but I'm not lifting the skin up. Primary reason for using the hands in the back is to help to lift the rib cage up. So in trying to refine that action and bring the skin down, you don't want to let go of the support to the rib cage. That's why it is what you can call a double action. And if you have been practicing Sarvangasana, even Setubandha Sarvangasana, with that sense of pulling the skin in the opposite direction to what I'm describing, to correct it will take time. But don't worry about that, because to refine any posture, it is going to take time. The day you want to be concerned about yourself is when you think your posture, any posture, is perfect. Otherwise, the rest of the life you are refining the posture. That is why to do Jalandhara Bandha without preparation from Sarvangasana to Jalandhara Bandha is not possible. You may make an effort of it, but it won't happen correctly. So to teach the body what that sense of Jalandhara Bandha is, Sarvangasana is a very good posture. Setu Bandha also can do it. Sarvangasana is better because in Sarvangasana there is other sense included also. That by making the head of the humerus heavy, and even more by making the outer head of the humerus heavy, you are attempting to lift the seventh cervical off the floor. Or if you cannot lift it off the floor like that, at least you are not heavily resting on it. For most people, I would say, unless you have practiced for a long period, in Sarvangasana, there will not come a space between the seventh cervical and the floor. It will keep touching the floor or whatever blanket you are on. Learn not to rest on it at least. Rest on your shoulders, on the head of the humerus, and even there, more particularly on the outside of the head of the humerus. So you are maximizing the external rotation of your arms. The very first class I had with my teacher in Brighton in England, I was a newcomer, but I had some flexibility. And at the end of the class, when he put me back into Sarvangasana, he had his big toe under my neck. And literally, I felt like he was lifting me with his big toe. He was lifting my seventh cervical off the floor. So there must have been an expression on my face that he saw. And I remember to this day, he said, if you can feel like that in every posture, then you have understood an asana. Well, I haven't felt like that in every posture, but certainly it gave me a direction. So in pranayama practice, by all means take Jalandhara Bandha. In fact, some people teach that if you don't do Jalandhara Bandha, you are not doing proper pranayama. That is technically true, but not really. Not really meaning, if your body has not been prepared to do Jalandhara Bandha and you force yourself into it, you're carrying the chest in. In a proper Jalandhara Bandha, the heaviness of the head or the chin is never resting on the chest. It is the chest that is lifted up. The chin simply comes to meet it. And if that meeting is not possible, put a roll here, some support here under the chin, and then don't rest on it. Don't rest the head on it. The chest should lift that whatever support you're putting, which in effect lifts the chin up. So the heaviness of the head or the support you are using never goes to make the chest collapse downwards. That inner lift should remain. And that's why in teaching asana, I have emphasized often, several times, that even when you are exhaling, there is an inner lift of the chest that is kept up. Certainly when I inhale in a pranayama practice, the chest will lift up. And on exhalation, that chest will drop down. But this is a beginner's practice. As you refine your practice, on inhalation, the chest does not have that sense of lifting up more. It has already been lifted up by the asana. It has a sense of moving forward. That is why the description was, the skin from the back comes to meet the frontal skin. And that sense of the skin moving forward is never dropped. Unconsciously, you may drop it, but you do not consciously drop it. So in exhalation, the skin seems to retain the sense of moving the chest still forward and up. Only the ribs come to rest on it. And try to learn this by not trying to take very deep breaths. Learn with little more than normal breath. Then slowly, as that sense comes, as that effort and ability comes, then begin to take deeper breaths. To prevent people from trying to do it with very deep breath, we constantly emphasize the head diaphragm. On inhalation, the brain should feel releasing in. On exhalation, the brain should feel releasing out. If you retain that sense in the brain, then the idea of lifting the chest too much or overdoing a physical action will not happen. So it's a built-in safety valve.